If you're a fantasy reader, the chances are you're knee-deep in a bunch of series. I am no different to you. And today we're going to be ranking the 10 series that I am in based on how likely I am to continue with them. Our categories are S, it is inevitable. A, this'll be fun. B, if the mood is right. C, it might take a while. F, do I really have to? Let's get started with A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't feel like I need to talk about this one too much because it has been in the mainstream for a long time, and I have no doubt that you've probably heard loads of people talking about Game of Thrones, Clash of Kings, all that stuff. I will try and keep this spoiler-free as possible. At this moment in time, I have currently read a Game of Thrones and a Clash of Kings. And the reason why I didn't go on to read A Storm of Swords is that, for one, I know some of the stuff that happens in that book, and I don't know if I'm ready. Two, I've heard that is a really great book. You can only read that book for the first time once, and I wanted to wait until a situation where I was feeling extremely excited by the series. Of course, there is always a thing about A Song of Ice and Fire where we have to make the decision as readers, are we going to dive into it because will it ever actually be finished? I personally do not believe that this series is ever actually going to be finished. I'm okay with that, and I actually think the writing is really good, and it's amazing that George R. R. Martin has already written an extremely brilliant fantasy series without having even finished it in the first place. So I gotta say, I personally think this is S tier. It is inevitable. Moving on to Stormlight Archives. Now, the Stormlight Archives, I started this a good while ago, and I decided that I was going to read it before Mistborn for some reason. I think I tried Mistborn a few times, and I just wanted something different. Also, the size of A Way of Kings just looked like a really great challenge to me, and I just felt like I had to get into that. And I just wanted something that I was going to be able to get lost in, and Way of Kings just seemed to call to me. And I read Way of Kings, and then I followed it straight up with Words of Radiance, and then went into Oathbringer. And by the time I read Oathbringer, not only was I slightly burnt out on the world a little bit, even though I'd been having a great old time reading it, I also realized that there was a lot of reading that I wanted to do within the Cosmere before I read any more, because it was getting more and more where it was kind of becoming important that you've read these other things. So I wanted to go off and read the Mistborn trilogy, which I did go and do, to be able to learn a little bit more. I'm due to read, I think, Elantris and Warbreaker at some point, and when I read those two, that's when I'm going to be going back to the series. Although a big part of me is wondering if I just want to go for it from the start again and appreciate it, because I really enjoyed this series. And so with Stormlight Archives, I think the only thing that's putting me off, and the only thing that really stops me from wanting to do it, is that a lot of people really didn't like book 5. But that didn't stop me buying book 5 and just deciding that I'm going to figure it out for myself. So the chances are that when I get round to it, I'm going to put it in A tier. This will be fun. Lightbringer. I read The Black Prism back in 2024, and I can't say I was massively captivated by it. I didn't really hate it either. I didn't feel anything in particular, to be honest. I wasn't drawn to it. A lot of people love the magic system. It wasn't that exciting to me. There was an interesting plot twist that, I've got to say, definitely sticks with me as one of the more poignant moments. I'm not totally sure if I read this book at the wrong point in my reading career, as it were. And I'm not sure if maybe this is one that I should return to at some point. So I think with Lightbringer, because it really didn't enthrall me the first time, it didn't draw me in, it might be a good idea that I put this in B category, which is, if the mood is right, I think I will read this one. The Greenbone Saga, which is the Jade City. When I read Jade City, again, another one that I read in 2024, when I was trying to figure out kind of what fantasy was for me, what kind of book that I want to go for. And I gotta say that while there was a lot about it that I did enjoy, I liked the magic system and the Jade and stuff like that, it didn't really affect the overall world all that much. It didn't feel much like a fantasy, and it just did not feel like a book series that I would want to continue reading at this moment in time. I can't say that I'll never go back to it, though, so I'm not going to be putting it into the F tier of do I really have to. I think it's more of a C tier of it might take a while. It might take me a good while to get around to that. Next, we've got The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. I have read The Fall and Of Blood and Fire twice now. The first time I read it, it was when I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to read going forward and how I saw myself as a fantasy reader, what type of stuff did I enjoy. It was a really great starting point for that as well, to be able to be instantly experiencing this magical land and trying to figure out kind of what kind of fantasy is it that clicks well with me. The reason why I haven't read past that, there's a couple of reasons for it. At the time, I just was not in the place for it. There's just some stuff, there's a writing technique that Ryan Cahill uses that I won't go into, but there's certain moments that I was just not able to listen to at the point in time. It just wasn't vibing with me because of the situation, my personal circumstances and stuff. But I do have all of these books sitting on my shelf. Because I really want to read them all. And the thing is, I'm torn because I'm thinking, do I read them now? Because they're all sat there. I can do it if I really wanted to. I've got them all. I've got all of the short stories that are available that you can buy. I've got, got everything, and I'm also kind of tempted by that Waterstones jacket because, man, it looks good. But I'm thinking, do I wait? Do I wait now until the 5th book comes out? Because it's the final book, and when the 5th book comes out, I can do like a big reading vlog where I read literally all of it. So I think that no matter what, because I own all of these, and I am extremely excited to get around to them, I think I'm going to rank it as S, because I believe it is inevitable that I will get round to reading The Bound and the Broken. Cradle is another series that I started way back when I started my reading journey of fantasy, really early 2024 when I really started to get into fantasy. Well, late 2023, cross into 2024. I read the first Cradle book because obviously Will White, he's a very well-renowned indie author. I feel like as soon as you start wanting to read indie fantasy, Will White's name is one that comes up alongside Ryan Cahill. So I tried out the first book of Cradle. At the time I read it, I was really enjoying what he was doing there, and I was enjoying the world. It was different. It got me straight into the character a little bit more. But I think at the time I was looking for something a little bit more classical, something a bit more like Ryan Cahill, really, and going down the sort of more classic route. And I was going to branch out a little bit later on. I love that Cradle exists. I love that it's got its own animation coming up. I do definitely intend to go back. It's not that I haven't that I've thought, well, I'm never going back to that ever again. But a big part of me knows that it's going to be a big undertaking when I do get there. So I'm going to put this in the B category of if the mood is right. The Sun Eater Saga, which obviously came to an end last year, and everybody was talking about how absolutely brilliant and amazing it is. And I've listened to so many interviews with the author. I've got so much respect for him, and I love the journey he's been on. I love his prose. There are so many things to say about Sun Eater so far. Where I am in my current journey, I have just read Demon in White. And the thing that I'm finding about Sun Eater is that everybody hypes it up to be this absolutely amazing thing. And I don't know why, but I'm not getting it, really. I personally don't feel like I'm where everyone else is with it. I don't hate it. I just don't love it, and I want to love it. Like, I really want to love it. Like, book 1, 2, and 3, 2 definitely elevated it for me hugely. Like, I understand why people like Howling Dark, and what he did in Howling Dark was great, but a lot of people like Demon in White, where it gets really good. Well, I've read Demon in White now, and I think, I'm wondering if maybe this is a bit too intelligent for me. I don't know. I also don't know if the aesthetic of like a science fantasy is something that does it for me, and I don't know if that's a reason why I'm not fully gripped by it. However, I did get this collection for Christmas, and it is a series that I definitely want to experience through to the end, so I'm going to be putting this in the B category of if the mood is right. The Wheel of Time. Now, The Wheel of Time, I have actually started reading twice. I started reading it early 2024 again, which is where a lot of these series kind of began for me. The Wheel of Time, I started it and I read 3 books and then I stopped after having read the first 3 and moved on. The reason why I moved on was because of nothing more other than I just felt a bit burnt out and I didn't really want to read any more Wheel of Time, and I didn't feel like it was the right time for me. Anyways, I got the whole collection for my birthday last year and I realised, you know what, well, I knew at the time that I wanted it. I'd spoken about how interested I was. I knew that I wanted to go on this undertaking with the Wheel of Time. So, of course, the 14 books are now sitting on my shelf, plus the 15th, which I believe is the prequel one. I have reread books 1, 2, and 3 again. I'm currently reading book 4, and there's going to be a video which is going out at some point all about the Wheel of Time, what I think about it, and whether you should read it or not if you haven't already read it. At this point in time, however, I am so interested in experiencing this journey. Like, my thoughts on the Wheel of Time is that, like, I don't think it's going to be brilliant, and I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be an experience, and I think it's very much an experience that I want to undertake, because I feel like when I get to the end of those 14 books, I will feel glad that I read them. And so therefore, I'm going to put it in S. It is inevitable, because I'm extremely interested in where it goes, interested in what the slog is. Everyone goes on about the slog. That does not put me off. I want to try this out and see what happens. The Empyrean, which is Fourth Wing. How likely am I to continue reading Fourth Wing? I don't know what will convince me to finish this series. I do own them all, up until Onyx Storm, obviously. There's nothing else out yet. I read Fourth Wing, and when I did read Fourth Wing, there was a lot of stuff that I thought about it, and I have summed it up in a big, long vlog, which you can check out on the channel, which will be available at this moment in time. However, whether I would continue or not, I don't know where I'm going to rank it. Because I think a lot of people would expect me to hate it, and I never hated it. I didn't hate it. I tried ACOTAR once, and I really disliked ACOTAR when I read it. I just could not get on board with it. But Fourth Wing had a lot of stuff going for it for me. I really enjoyed the dragons, the banter between the characters, just the style of being able to choose your own coloured dragon with its own tail type. There was a lot of cool stuff. And then the end of Fourth Wing kind of makes you go, do you know what? If you thought this book was bad, then maybe it won't be. Here's some hope. Here's some hope that it could end up being good. So I think I'd have to give Iron Flame a read before I decided whether I'm going to finish this series or not. And I'm just going to put it in the it might take a while category, unless people go and like that video. I have said if people, if that video gets 1,000 likes, I will read Iron Flame straight away. But at the minute, if it was off my own accord, it might take a while. Dungeon Crawler Call. My experience of reading Dungeon Crawler Call was not a bad one by any stretch of the word. I actually first started reading Dungeon Crawler Call in May last year, and then I stopped reading it. I kind of DNF'd and moved on to something else. I was going through a bit of a reading slump. I was moving through different books along the way just to see if I was interested in them or not. I have already got a video out which discusses what I thought about Dungeon Crawler Call in depth, and thinking about the series on how likely I am to return to it. I just don't know. I didn't hate it per se, but it just wasn't scratching the itch. It wasn't giving me what I wanted, and I don't know if there's ever going to be a time where I crave something like Dungeon Crawler Call. I certainly want to try out more lit RPG books, but I don't know if Dungeon Crawler Call is a book series that I am that interested in continuing with, purely because it just wasn't doing what books usually do. So I think this is unexpected, and I might change my mind at some point. Of course, all of these things I am subject to change my mind. But I'm going to put it in F. Like, do I really have to? Do I really have to go back and read more of that? I didn't again, it's an interesting one because I didn't hate it. It's not like I came out of the book like, oh my god, don't let me go near that again. It's more to do with the fact that it just doesn't click with me. I suppose this could be an if the mood was right, but I don't know if the mood will ever happen. And yeah, we don't have an F yet either, so I'm going to put it in F just for now, and it might change. If you've got any series yourself that you're stuck on, that you're not sure whether you're going to go back to, which ones are you the most excited to return to, which ones do you think maybe you won't return to, and are there any that you kind of recommend that aren't on this list? Also, these aren't the only books on my TBR. In fact, there is actually a heck of a lot of them, and I decided to rank every single one in this video right here, so don't forget to check that one out next.